preference is really a starting point to really understand and comprehend our type. But the type becomes even more useful when we really understand and explore the combinations of our preferences and how they interact to create our personality. You'll also notice when you look at the type table that it's organized so that similar types are next to each other, and sections of the type table are organized in order to see qualities that are shared by groups or within the group of type. The INTP personality type tends to be an independent problem solver. They are able to give a very concise analysis of situations or even ideas. Now, their order of hierarchy states that they have a dominant introverted thinking, which means that they are usually going to use that thinking principle to primarily find out or develop any logical structures to understand and explain the world. Because this is introverted, most people are not going to be able to see it. They're not going to be able to understand that they're most likely to be very logical, analytical, objective, critical, and even detached or contemplative. Instead, what people tend to see is that auxiliary function, which is extroverted, which means that they tend to be very quiet and reserved. And they can, however, get talkative in areas where they know that they are knowledgeable. However, they tend to be very seen as needing autonomy and independence. They're mentally quick, insightful, ingenious, and what people tend to see is that they're curious about ideas, theories, and what makes things work. Their tertiary function is a sensing function, while their less preferred function or inferior function is an extroverted feeling function. What this means is that when people with the INTP personality type tend to give less attention to these last two, which is a tertiary or inferior function, what you're going to see is that they become insensitive to the needs of others, especially when it comes for information. They're going to decide something that they believe is important for others instead of really understanding what other needs, and they fail to consider the impact of their ideas or even their decisions. The preference combinations within a personality type which influence both career choices and interests are the perception, which is sensing or intuition, plus the judgment, which is thinking or feeling. The intuition plus thinking likes to focus on the possibilities. They're innovators. They like to investigate theories, and they're very logical as well as analytical. They're theoretical, and they enjoy technical frameworks. Some best career choices for an intuitive thinker is going to be physical science, research, management, computers, law, engineering, and even some technical work. Energy plus that external orientation, which is extroverted or introverted, plus your judging or perceiving, is how people are going to respond to any kind of change. So that introverted perceiver is an adaptable introvert. So this means that when changes are proposed, they're going to be very curious. They're going to seek information. Remember, they're adaptable. They like flexibility. They're going to then take the information, use their judgment, which is going to be based on values and logical principles, and then they're going to determine whether or not that information appears to be adaptable. And they're only going to move ahead on their own time because remember, they are a flexible, spontaneous type of personality. Leadership, management, and the follower styles comes from a preference combination of our judgment preference and our external orientation. So our thinking perceivers are actually adaptable problem solvers. They're going to lead by example. They value and display a technical expertise, and they create a consistent and orderly framework for working. They like to be objective, skeptical, and they're very curious. And they're going to change their course as new information comes in that goes along with that perceptive side where they're spontaneous, and they're very effective problem solvers. The preferences of energy and perception, which is our extroversion and our introversion, plus our sensing or our intuition, determines how we use information within our personality. An IN, an introverted intuition, would be called a thoughtful innovator. Their knowledge is important to them for its very own sake. So the temperament for the INTJ is the NT, which means it's rational. So the rationals are theory-oriented, and they seek to understand the principles upon which the world and things work. They trust logic and reason, and they're skeptical and precise. They think in terms of differences, categories, definitions, and even structures. They focus on strategies and designs that achieve long-range goals that lead to progress. They want competence and even thorough knowledge. Remember that the purpose of learning about our MBTI type and those dynamics is really to help us in understanding ourselves and to better build and to aid in developing our relationships with others. And this is accomplished when we look at the combinations of our preferences, the dynamics within our personality type, as well as the development and the growth that is available to our psychological type.